Hi guys, this is Loai with you. Now, if you have any questions, please post them in the section of question and answer on the dashboard of this course. I will answer them all. Even if your questions are not related to this specific lecture, you can still post them and I will be very happy to help you to really become the expert you want to be in Adobe After Effects. And I'm very excited to have you with me, and I'm also very excited to start teaching you how to animate, because this is when all the fun will start. This is when you get excitement. Now, we know how to create text and we know how to create shapes. We want to put that knowledge in motion. The first thing I would like you to do is to open project 1, the one that you have downloaded in the beginning. Please come to File, go to Open Project, and navigate where you unzipped all the files for this course, and you say Project 1. You choose Project 1 and click Open. Here, if you don't have the file, if you don't have this project, if you didn't download, it's okay, you can still follow up with me. So let me show you what we are going to do and what kind of animations we are going to create and the learning experience that you will gain. Now, maybe the animations are not super, completely awesome that can startle everybody. But the basic here is for us to understand how to create animations, how to arrange, for example, our layers, and how to create bigger projects that will allow us to understand how projects are structured and constructed in After Effects. I know that you have seen maybe many movies and videos on YouTube and so on. But it is important to know how to structure your project, because this is where the challenge starts. Most of the time when you create a project or you create an animation, the client will come back to me and tell me, okay, I want this change and this change and this change. If you don't structure your project, then you cannot do these changes. It will take you hours and you will give up and you can't make money out of it, or you will find it like it's very dull. I have to redo everything. So we are going to learn these things. We are going to learn how to create animations, how to use keyframes, how to manipulate our layers on the timeline, and stories like this. Fine. So let's first of all close all these compositions. To close them all, you can just click on the X on each one of them. But there is a better way. You can come to composition and there is startup here, for example. You click on startup and you say close all. Or you can close all the other composition except startup. I will click on close all. Fine, they're all gone. I will create now a new composition. I will right click and say new composition. I will use 1280 by 720, 25 frames. 5 seconds will do for now. Let's keep the background to black. It's okay. Fine, this is done. Now, what I want to do is to put some text. How do we put text? We did that in the beginning. I'm gonna come to my character here. I have chosen the Roboto, is okay. The size of the font is 60. I don't want any stretching or scaling. I will put 100 here. That's cool. And I will double click on text and write simple motion graphics. That's cool. Now, I have chosen my text. There is a small mistake. I will double click and change it. Remember, we did that just the previous lecture. I have my text here. Now, there is here a panel called Align. If you don't have it here, please go to Window, and it's the first one. Make sure you tick it and it comes over here and you arrange it within the menu. I want to align my text in the center. Of course, it's aligned in the center because my paragraph was in the center. And also I want to align it vertically in the center. So now it's very aligned. Then I want to create now a shape. I will take, for example, a rectangle. Click on the rectangle. I'm happy with the background. The fill is solid. The stroke is white and 5. Very happy with it. I just click and drag to create my rectangle. Fine, we have our shape. Now I will go to the selection tool. I could have pressed V also. And notice what's happening here. These layers, I will twirl up this one. The shape layer is above the text layer. I want it under. So I'll click and drag and put it under. You notice the black line will allow me to put it anywhere I want. I'll put it under. Now I can see. Now also I want to align the shape layer in the middle of the composition. I have my align panel opened. Click here. that is align horizontal and align vertical. Fine. Now I want to create an animation. How do you start to animate? Well, it's pretty simple. I will take this one up so we can see here more. If you twirl down the arrow here, you will see text and transform. Remember, I told you transform is to transform the layer. And notice the layer here is selected. I will open transform. I can really animate the anchor point, the position. I can take it left, right. I will undo, up, down, anywhere I want. And of course, I can do both of them. I will undo twice. Then there is the scale. You notice there is a chain link here. If I change one value, the other value also will change. So I will scale it. Of course, it's using the anchor point to scale. I will undo. If I remove the chain link, I can work on the horizontal scaling or even on the vertical scaling alone. Now notice I told you last time that when you come to character, if you scale your layer from here, you will be making changes. And these are the changes that you will be making. So please, when you're setting your font, don't use this one. Instead, use what you have in the character panel here. I will undo this one. Fine. Also, you can rotate your text, left, right, center, wherever. You know, it's rotating on the anchor point. And also, you can use opacity. You can make it completely transparent or completely opaque. We are going to use the position to animate. To initiate your animation or to start an animation, you need your first keyframe. To create your first keyframe, all you have to do is to click on the stopwatch. Now you see this is the current timeline indicator or the current time indicator. When you click on the stopwatch, it creates a keyframe on the timeline indicator. See how? What is a keyframe? A keyframe means that at this time, which is in the beginning now 0, 0, you see the time is here and the time is here and the time is even here. You can see that it's changing here and of course where the timeline indicator is. The keyframe says that at this time I want the position to have these coordinates. This is the X and this is the Y, or this is horizontal and this is vertical. By putting a keyframe here, you're saying at this time ensure the coordinates are these values. Fine. But now I don't want this to start here at 0, 0. I want to start down below. So I can edit this value or click on it and scrub it up or down. You notice it's changing value. Now what happens here, this keyframe means at this time 0, 0, put my layer in this position down there. If I press spacebar and move up, okay, cool. Then you move your timeline indicator to a different time. Let's say 1 second. You notice it's 1 second here. And you say, at this time, I want to change the position. I want to take it up, for example. You can use this one. Okay, now it's almost in the center. Since my time indicator is on a keyframe, I can use the align and say align it center. Very nice. It was here. So what happens now? You can use the keyframe navigator for a certain property to move to the previous or the next keyframe. Cool. So you notice the first keyframe we said the layer is here. The second keyframe, the layer is here. What will After Effects do? It will just interpolate between the first keyframe and the second keyframe. And that will be your animation. You can come and run a RAM preview. First of all, let's make this one bigger. And let's go to 100 to fit. That's okay. To run a RAM preview, I would like you to make sure that you have spacebar here, for example. But the range here, make it work area and 25 frames. And also we have several parameters here. Don't do full screen. Just want to see it here. And leave the other one the way it is. Okay, we'll see them later on. Then maybe you want to stretch it in just to show, you know, enough. This is enough. So if you click on play, then it will play your animation. You notice it will play to the end of the composition and then comes back. Here you are. So now we created your first animation. Now let's look a bit what we have. We will stop this one and we bring it here. First of all, we have a kind of dotted line here. Let me see if I can zoom in nicely. Yeah, no problem. we have a kind of dotted line. The big dots, the squares, are the keyframes. You notice when I bring it here, it's on the keyframe. If I bring it down, it will be on the keyframe. Fine. In between, there are the small dots, you will say, or the small circles. Each one of them is a frame. Notice the frames here. We said we have 25 frames per second. So I can move one frame, two, and it will move on the frames. So on frame 11, it will be at the 11th dot here, and so on. So now you created your first animation using the keyframes, and of course it has created a motion path for us. This dotted line is the motion path. Fine. Now what we want to do is to create another animation for the rectangle. So what I want, after 1 minute, I want the rectangle to be in this position. True? So I will come to the shape layer. Instead of swelling down and opening position, I will just press P. And P will open the position. If I had pressed S, it will open scale. T, it will open opacity. A, it will open anchor point. All of them use the first letter except opacity, it uses T. So let's open P and say, okay, at this time, that is 1 second, I want the position of the rectangle to be here. You can click on the stopwatch to start or initiate the animation. And a keyframe is created for you at this time on the timeline indicator, and it will give this position. Fine. I go backward. At 0, 0, where do I want my rectangle? Well, I want the rectangle to be on this side outside. So I can click on scrub it out. Fine. Of course, I could have just moved the rectangle, but I like doing like this very much. Now let's run a prime preview. Here you are, you have your first animation. Cool. So how do we start an animation? We start an animation, let me stop that. We start an animation by clicking on the stopwatch. Then we move in the timeline in a different time. We set new values and a new keyframe is created for us. If we don't want to change the values, then naturally we can press on the diamond here and a keyframe is created. So of course this keyframe doesn't make any sense here because the values did not change. So now this is how you create your first animation. What I would like you to do is to go ahead, go to After Effects and start playing with it. Let me delete this one. Okay. Now this animation is too long, it's taking very long time. What I want to do is to change the position of the keyframe to shorten the time of the animation. To see all the keyframes for all the layers or the selected layers, I can select the layers by creating a lasso around them and press the shortcut U. When I press U, it's showing the position here. Actually, it's showing all the properties that have keyframes. If it is scale, opacity, it will show them all. So U will show you all the properties that have keyframes. Now, I want to shorten the time. So that's pretty easy. I'll create a lasso around the last 2 keyframes and click on one of them and just drag it back. Now, it will be very clever to put the timeline indicator where I want. That's okay, 12. And now my animation is speedier because the distance in between the 2 keyframes is much smaller. Let's run a RAM preview. Here you are. So please go to After Effects and start creating very simple animations. Let me show you what you can do more. You can come to 1, select both layers, for example. We went to 1 second and move them somewhere else. Keyframes have been created. Let's come in the middle and move them over here. Keyframes have been created. I can move them somewhere else, and here we are, and even more. Bring them here. And then at the end, for example, I want to return them back, put them in the middle to return them to their initial position. And here you are, you have your animation. If you preview it, pressing play, cool. So there are plenty of games you can play just using simple stopwatch and changing the position value. You can get some interesting animations for now. You can also select all your keyframes, the one you don't want anymore, and press the delete key, and here they are gone. You are left only with the original one. This is Loai with you, and if you have any questions, I know this was very long, please post any questions that you have in the question and answer section in the dashboard of this course.